In the ashes of Rome, a new empire rose. An empire of marble and gold, faith and fire that would stand for 1,000 years. They called it Byzantium, Rome's lost shadow. From the rise of Constantine the Great to the fall of Constantinople, this is the story of power, faith, betrayal, and destiny. You're watching Wings of Fire, where history burns bright. Asterisk today. We uncover the rise and fall of the Byzantine Empire, Rome's lost shadow. In the year 330 AD, a man stood on the shores of the Bosporus, the narrow strait dividing Europe and Asia. His name was Constantine the Great, Emperor of Rome. But the Rome he ruled was no longer the mighty colossus it once was. Corruption, civil war, and barbarian invasions had turned the eternal empire into a crumbling shell of its past glory. Constantine looked eastward toward a new dawn, and there he would build it, a new Rome. A city of marble and domes, rising from the ruins of an old Greek colony called Byzantium. He called it Nova Roma, the new Rome, but the world would come to know it by another name, Constantinople. Constantinople was more than a city. It was a statement, a defiant whisper to history that Rome would never die. Built on 7 hills, like Rome itself, it became the heart of a new world. Gold mosaics shimmered beneath the sun. Its walls rose higher than any fortress in Europe. The empire that grew from it, the Byzantine Empire, would become a bridge between the ancient and the medieval, the pagan and the Christian, the East and the West. But make no mistake, Byzantium was not simply Rome reborn. It was Rome transformed, infused with Greek intellect, Eastern mysticism, and Christian faith. Here, emperors ruled not just with the sword, but by divine right as God's chosen on earth. The Byzantine emperor was not merely a ruler. He was the living icon of the empire itself, and no emperor embodied that vision more than Justinian the Great. It was the 6th century. Rome had fallen in the west. The barbarian kingdoms of Europe rose from its corpse, but in the east, one man dreamed of reuniting the empire. Emperor Justinian I, a peasant-born genius turned ruler. He believed it was his destiny to restore the glory of Rome. Under his command, the Byzantine armies led by the brilliant general Belisarius reconquered North Africa, Italy, and parts of Spain. For a moment, it seemed the Roman dream had returned. But dreams have a price. Wars drained the treasury. Plagues ravaged the cities. And in the midst of his ambition, Constantinople burned in 532 AD. During the Nika riots, the capital exploded in chaos, a revolt so fierce it nearly ended Justinian's reign. Tens of thousands were slaughtered in the Hippodrome, and yet, from the ashes, Justinian built his greatest monument, the Hagia Sophia, the Church of Holy Wisdom. Its vast dome floated above the city like heaven itself. Even today, it stands as one of humanity's most awe-inspiring creations, the very soul of Byzantium cast in stone. For centuries, the Byzantine Empire thrived on the strength of its faith and the cunning of its diplomacy. While barbarian kingdoms tore each other apart in the West, Byzantium endured, weaving alliances, buying peace. And playing its enemies against one another, its scholars preserved the wisdom of Greece and Rome. Its monks illuminated sacred texts. Its artists painted divine visions in shimmering gold. But beneath the splendor, the empire was a cauldron of intrigue. Courts buzzed with spies, eunuchs, and secret councils. Emperors were blinded, exiled, and murdered, sometimes by their own kin. Power in Byzantium was never inherited easily. It was seized. Yet somehow, the empire survived. It was adaptable, a master of survival, shifting between war and diplomacy like a serpent in the sun. But the greatest storm was yet to come, one that would shake the empire to its very soul. In the 7th century, a new force rose from the deserts of Arabia, Islam. Within decades, Muslim armies had conquered vast lands once under Byzantine rule: Syria, Egypt, and North Africa. The empire lost its richest provinces, its grain, its gold, and its confidence. But Byzantium did not fall. It adapted. The empire reorganized itself into themes: military provinces led by strategoi, local generals who defended the realm. It became leaner, harder, and more disciplined. And in 717 AD, when the mighty Umayyad Caliphate besieged Constantinople with a massive fleet, the Byzantines unveiled their secret weapon, Greek fire. A liquid inferno that burned even on water, Greek fire turned the sea into a blazing wall of death. The Muslim fleets were destroyed. The city survived. For another 400 years, Byzantium remained the bastion of Christianity, the guardian of the ancient world. But its greatest enemy was not always outside its walls. Sometimes it was within. In 1054 AD, the unthinkable happened. The Christian world, once united under Rome, split in two. The Great Schism divided the Church into Roman Catholic in the west and Eastern Orthodox in the east. It was not merely a religious divide. It was the final fracture of the Roman soul. From then on, Byzantium stood alone, misunderstood by the West, mistrusted by the East. And then came the Crusades. When the Byzantine emperors called for help against the Turks, they expected allies. What they got were conquerors. In 1204, during the Fourth Crusade, the unthinkable occurred. Christian knights, meant to reclaim the Holy Land, turned their swords toward Constantinople itself. The city of God was betrayed by those who claimed to serve him. For 3 days, the Crusaders looted, burned, and desecrated everything in sight. The treasures of 1,000 years, art, relics, knowledge were lost in fire and blood. The Byzantine Empire was shattered. What remained was a ghost, divided into fragments ruled by Latin lords and desperate Greek princes. Constantinople would eventually be reclaimed in 1261, but the empire that returned was no longer the shining beacon it once was. It was a shadow, weakened, haunted, and waiting for the final blow. The final chapter came in 1453. The Ottoman Turks, led by Sultan Mehmed II, surrounded Constantinople with an army of 80,000 men and the largest cannons the world had ever seen. Inside the walls, the last Byzantine emperor, Constantine the Paleologos, stood with barely 7,000 defenders as the siege began. The great cannons roared day and night, shaking the ancient walls that had stood for 1,000 years. For 7 weeks, the Byzantines fought with courage and desperation, but fate was sealed. On May 29, 1453, the Ottomans breached the gates. Constantine XI removed his imperial regalia, drew his sword, and vanished into the chaos, the last Roman emperor dying as the first rays of dawn touched the dome of Hagia Sophia. By noon, the great church had fallen silent. The city of Constantine, New Rome, was no more, and thus ended not just an empire, but an entire civilization. Yet Byzantium never truly died. Its scholars fled westward, carrying with them the knowledge of ancient Greece and Rome, books, art, philosophy. Those seeds helped ignite the Renaissance, the rebirth of Western civilization. Its faith endured in the Eastern Orthodox Church. Its architecture inspired empires from Russia to the Ottoman world, and its spirit, that unyielding will to survive between worlds, still whispers through the pages of history for 1,000 years. Byzantium stood as the last light of Rome, the guardian of a world that refused to fade. It was not just an empire. It was a bridge between ages, a reminder that even in the face of darkness, civilization can endure. Empires rise and empires fall. But Byzantium, Rome's lost shadow, proved that legacy can outlast power. Its fall marked the end of an age, but also the beginning of the world we know today. Because history never truly ends. It merely changes form and waits to rise again.
You've been watching Wings of Fire, where the embers of history still burn. Subscribe and join us as we awaken the forgotten stories of our world.